Hi, I'm Matt, and on today's Matt's World DIY, we're celebrating the holidays. And how better else to do that than with rumballs? These little nuggets of goodness come together in just a snap. They're easy to make, they're delicious to drink, delicious to eat, and I know you'll enjoy this video. So let's get to it. One of the beautiful things about making these rumballs is that you don't have to have any kind of appliances whatsoever. Your power can go out and you can make these guys. But today, all we're going to use is a food processor. Now, if you don't have one or you don't want to use one, you could put your cookies that we're going to use into a bag and you can smash them out, pound them out, take out your aggression on it if you want, and do things that way. But essentially, you don't need any kind of, you don't have to turn the stove on, you don't have to turn the oven on. And what you do need though is some cookies. So the first thing we're going to start with is 2 cups of really pulverized vanilla wafers, Nilla wafers, whatever you call them, 2 cups worth. So let's get these guys in there. You're going to use essentially about 2/3 of a bag. A word of caution. I saw that whenever I was putting these cookies in there, I was tempted to put my hand in and move the cookies around. Don't do that. Those little blades are super sharp. You don't want to have an accident and then end up going to the emergency room in the holiday. You don't want that. I've put about 2/3 of the bag of cookies in my food processor, and I'm going to just pulverize these guys. What you want to have is 2 cups of the cookie crumbs. And so I've got a 2-cup measuring cup. I'm going to take this out, carefully set it on the side, not touching those blades. Trust me, you don't want to do that. Okay, and then measure out roughly 2 cups. That looks good. I'm actually going to grind up some more so that I have, wow, that smells good. Grind up some more so I have some crumbs to roll my rumballs in. I've got all of my cookies pulverized, and now I need to have a cup of pecans. Now, whenever you use pecans, I've said this before, I really, really love roasting my pecans. When you roast your pecans, it really enhances the flavor, the nuttiness of the pecan. So all you have to do is put your oven at 350 degrees, place your pecans on your cookie sheet, and bake that for about 10 minutes. About 5 minutes through, go ahead and shake them up, rotate them around a little bit, put them back in for another 5 minutes, and then they're done. So this is a cup of toasted, roasted pecans. You want to pulverize your pecans also, but be careful, don't go overboard with it because you'll end up with a pecan paste. You don't want to do that. Check that out. That looks nice. Okay, so it's 1 cup of pecans. And now we're finished with this guy. So my dry ingredients are almost completely assembled. I have 2 cups of the cookie crumbs. I also have 1 cup of the pulverized pecans. And in my sifter, I'm going to add 1 cup of confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar. I'm also going to put in 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. This is just regular cocoa powder. If you want to use the Dutch processed, that's especially good. I wish I had some, but I'm out of my Dutch processed cocoa powder, and I'm kind of sad, but I'm making it through. I'm muscling through. I'm doing just fine. I'm adding ½ teaspoon of sea salt. With my dry ingredients in my sifter, let's sift this around. And cocoa powder is notorious for being clumpy and lumpy and not nice. So you must sift your cocoa powder or your dry ingredients. Check out, see all those lumps there? All those rocks? Well, we need to get rid of that. So there we go, and they are gone. Before I do anything else with this, we need to, this is called a whisk, not a sifter. We need to sift. Goodness gracious, we need to mix this up, sift this up, because we want to get all of the ingredients well combined, and whenever we put our wet ingredients in there, it'll all be a nice well blended mixture. I have a question for you. What does this mixture remind you of? Does it remind you of some other holiday snacking kind of treat? why don't you put it in the comments below? I have something in mind. I think that you will too. It's a powdered sugar, chocolatey cocoa thing where you would add cereal to it. What is that I'm thinking about? My dry ingredients are well combined. Let's put that off to the side. And in another bowl, a smaller bowl, we're going to get our wet ingredients. So I'm going to start with 1/3 cup of dark rum. Now, I'm not a rum drinker. It's just something that's it's sweet, and I'm not a big sweet alcohol kind of consumer. But I went to the liquor store and I asked, what is a good rum that I'm making rum balls? It was recommended that I use this stuff. It's similar to Captain Morgan's, but it's not quite as expensive. So I was like, okay, fine. Smells good. So we're going to have 1/3 cup. And so carefully measure out your 1/3 cup of rum, of dark rum, dark spiced rum. The beauty of this recipe is that your ingredient amounts they're rather fluid, kind of like this rum is, and kind of like the rum will make you if you drink too much of it. But if you find whenever you're making your rum balls, if it's too dry, add more liquid. If it's too wet, add just a little bit more of the cookie pieces or powdered sugar, whichever. In addition to our 1/3 cup of rum, we need to have 2 tablespoons of honey. And so add that to it. Here we go. I love honey. It's just so delicious. There's 1 and there is 2. So I have my 1/3 cup of rum and my 2 tablespoons of honey in my little bowl. I'm going to mix this together, just blend this well. And then we're going to put that into our dry mixture and go to town making our delicious rum balls. Here's a little tip for you. If you would like to try a different liquor, I understand that bourbon makes a good complement to this as well. You could make bourbon balls instead of rum balls. You can make bourbon balls. Or if you're having a super festive get together, make bourbon balls and rum balls, and everybody's going to be happy. So, okay, so this is well blended. I don't see the honey hanging out anywhere. We got some drunk honey on us, on our hands. So I'm gonna bring my wet ingredients, my dry ingredients back, and I'm going to take my wet ingredients, just pour it into the dry. Wow, you can really smell the liquor. This is something you need to keep in mind, is that the liquor does not burn off. It's not put in the oven. It's not cooked on the stove. It's not combined in any way with heat or cooking, so there's no alcohol evaporation going on. So snack responsibly when you're consuming these. This is looking great. Now I'm going to get my rolling and assembling station set up, and we'll be right back. All right, so I think these guys were swimming in rum, so they were a little bit too drunk, too liquidy. So I took a minute and I pulverized the rest of those cookies that I had in the box and added it to the mixture to kind of help it, so I can actually form some balls instead of just a mound of goop. So here we go, and this looks a lot better. It looks like I might be able to manage this. Oh yes, definitely. And so this one will go in the cookie mixture. It looks good. Drop it in a little cup. Perfect. Here's another one. Yes, this is so much better. It was just way too wet, way too wet. Still a bit wet, but it's a lot more manageable. And so this one is our powdered sugar. And then we'll try another. Ooh, maybe a little too much. I don't know. One of the things I was wondering, I'm like, okay, well, people may have questions about how long will these things keep? Well, you can put them in the refrigerator for like 2 weeks, or if you want to freeze them in an airtight container, you can freeze them in an airtight container for about 2 months, and they'll still be good. So you don't have to eat them all at one time. I did end up using the entire box of vanilla wafers for the cookie mixture, and then still about another half cup, quarter cup, third of a cup for the cookie crumbs to roll my, my cookies in. So it's really just a roll, repeat till you're finished. And so I'm going to do that, and we'll come back at the end. In the process of making these, I had to wash my hands several times because it just starts sticking to your hands and you're unable to form balls. So just be prepared for that if you're making this recipe. Super delicious. Careful how much you lick your fingers or sample, because, you know, it can get a little dangerous with all that liquor. So I'm going to clean this up and then I'll be right back. So this recipe came up with I ended up with about 40 rumballs assorted with the cookie rolled, the powdered sugar rolled, and the cocoa powder rolled. And they're about an inch, maybe a little bit more in diameter. So I know 1 to 2 per person. If you're having a party, guests in your home, that should be about a good amount for them, so that they can leave without having to be pulled over by the popo. Anyway, so anyway, they're very good. I know that your friends and family will enjoy it. So let's try one of these. Let's say, I did, in between plates full, I would put the plate in the refrigerator, and it really helps help them solidify a little bit more. So that's a tip that you might want to incorporate into your plan. So let's try one of these. I'm going to go with this one, and it's got cookie rolling. This cookie is delicious. I hope you get a chance to make this recipe. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and check out some of my other cookies on my cookie playlist. I'll see you next time.